From cashing out with the biggest franchise in the modern era to owning a car that James Bond drove, this is what Jason Momoa's private car collection looks like. Fans loved his character in Fast 10, to the point where clips of Dante Reyes were all over the internet. Getting called one of the best characters in your career is a tremendous feat, no doubt, but it also comes with a hefty paycheck. Now, since celebrity salaries are usually kept a secret, a lot of sources end up finding a rough yet accurate estimate. The majority of sites say that Momoa earned a whopping $5 million from the movie. You can just imagine the number of cars that kind of money will get you. But I hope you're not forgetting that he starred in another huge blockbuster in 2023. More importantly, it was a superhero movie, which means a ton of money. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom earned him double the amount he received for the first installment as the underwater hero. Around $15 million was added to his bank account, and if my calculations are correct, that's roughly $20 million made in a single year. Remember, these numbers can either be way more or less, but I can say with confidence that whatever he earned in 2023 was enough to buy at least 10 Lamborghini Aventadors. But Jason doesn't need a sports car as fancy as that, right? So, what does his car collection really look like? Well, let's begin with what's reportedly his first car, the Land Rover Defender Series 3. Believe it or not, this was Momoa's first car, which he eventually had to sell due to the 2014 economic crisis. Fortunately, in the same year, he starred in a Canadian action horror film called Wolves, where he played the role of the antagonist, Connor. This probably gave him the funds he needed to repurchase the car. Little did he know he'd have many more classic vehicles to buy in the long run. Momoa said that vintage Land Rovers are tough and rugged cars built to last. In one of his interviews, he also said that they're really versatile for both on-road and off-road driving. After all, Khal Drogo needs a decent car to drive all the way to Essos, doesn't he? With a 4-speed manual gearbox and a top speed of 68 horsepower, this particular Land Rover stands out in Momoa's collection. But get this, Defender Series 3 isn't your average off-roader. It actually went through a Dormobile camper conversion. What does this mean? Well, imagine a car with a stove, sink, and 2 roof bunk beds for camping adventures. Could this be any more perfect for a man like Jason Momoa? Reportedly priced at $24,500, the Land Rover has a 2.25-liter inline petrol engine and can go to 60 miles per hour in 28.9 seconds. Sure, it's not insanely efficient with super speed, but for moving about and living a life as adventurous as Jason's, it's a match made in heaven. Now, his love for these cars is so big that he just couldn't settle for one. So adding to his collection is the Land Rover Defender 110. This is slightly larger than his other camping buddy because it has tires designed specifically for off-road driving. So taking it out in the city is a bit of a problem. But this doesn't mean we haven't seen Momoa flaunting it in public. Apart from the large tires, its interior is fitted with leather seats, a sound system that sounds as clear as vinyl, and a ton more high-end features. So just because the 110 isn't for city driving doesn't mean it can't be a comfortable car. Like Series 3, this SUV is also perfect for adventures. We all know how much Momoa adores exploring new places and territories, so heavy-duty cars like Land Rovers do the perfect job to fit his needs. But let's give the Land Rovers a break and talk about other vehicles parked in his garage, like his Harley-Davidson bike collection. Everyone knows how iconic this motorcycle is, and the owner always looks like the coolest person on the road. Imagine a bulked-up, tattooed, long-haired, and bearded actor riding a Harley. How iconic is that? From the 1900s to the contemporary models, Momoa's collection gives him the typical biker personality you'd see in the movies. Some of the models include a 1939 Harley-Davidson UL, a 1939 EL, a 1941 Harley-Davidson EL, a 1916 Model J, a 1936 Knucklehead, and a 2021 Pan American. Remember, there are still a couple more models in his garage, so this may seem like quite the collection, but Jason sure does love his motorbikes. The sleek two-wheelers feature customized paint jobs, blacked-out rims, and a ton of other modifications. At this point, he's just having a good time with these Harleys, and if you are making millions of dollars as a Hollywood superstar, why wouldn't you? Keep in mind that Harleys come with powerful engines that roar on any street they're on. They look cool, are gorgeously designed, and can do a tremendous job of cruising around the city. But for shorter trips around town, Aquaman prefers to ride his BMW R9 T-Scrambler. Yeah, this thing looks as cool as the name. This retro-looking classic has a vintage round headlight and raised handlebars, which probably cause him severe back pain. The Scrambler has 110 horsepower and high-mounted dual exhaust pipes. The knobby tires give Momoa the ability to drive off-road, which is a major safety hazard. By the way, I hope Jason wears a helmet at all times. It also comes with ABS brakes and optional electronic ride modes, which is a best-of-both-worlds type of situation. You're balancing aesthetics and vintage with this thing, and Momoa spent around $18,000 on it. Now back to the big cars. And when I say big, I mean the 2018 Earth Roamer XVLTI 025 Ford F550. And let me tell you this thing is as scary as its name. A colossal four-wheel drive with a 17-foot wheelbase and an overall length of 29 feet will have everyone asking, why on earth would a man ever need this car? Well, blame it all on Jason's adventurous personality. You'd think this was just a lighthearted compliment, but if you take a look at his Instagram, this guy loves exploring the world and trying new things. With a huge V8 engine, the monster is priced at around $750,000. It can generate up to 330 horsepower and go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.5 seconds, reaching a top speed of 95 miles per hour. Kind of insane for a vehicle this big. He showed up at the premiere of Aquaman in 2018 with this camper, and some sources say that he even found peace and solace during his divorce from Lisa Bonet in 2022. Now, that's what I call a man who loves his cars. Let's move on to something smaller than a mammoth, like the Earth Roamer, and talk about that video of Jason driving his vintage Bentley convertible. The Bentley Blower is a replica built in 1952 and designed after a 1920s Speed 8 Tourer. This snazzy vehicle is stylish and elegant, looks old, and most importantly, it looks like something a British person would drive in a black and white movie. Jason found the perfect opportunity to flaunt his ride when he took it out on the streets of London in 2021 while promoting Dune. People might think that one of his big Rovers would have done the trick because of its terrain-friendly wheels, but I guess Jason just wanted to have some fun. Speaking of Rovers, his 2013 white second-generation Range Rover Sport is probably the only normal and city-friendly thing he owns that doesn't stand out in traffic. The Rover is equipped with a 5-liter V8 engine pushing 518 horsepower. Unlike his other vehicles, this thing can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 4.3 seconds. With such a smooth design, it looks like a millionaire's car. Doesn't he grow tired of all the vintage in his garage? Well, apparently not, because he also owns a 1968 Oldsmobile 442. You can catch this classic in action on the Netflix action thriller Sweet Girl. Isn't it awesome when actors drive their cars in movies and TV shows? Anyway, there's a story that Momoa probably wants to forget about the Oldsmobile. In 2022, he survived a head-on collision with a motorbike in Calabasas, California. Luckily, no one was hurt. The motorcycle rider suffered minor injuries, and Jason made it out safe and unharmed. Lastly, I want to include two cars because of how stylish they look. I mean, one of them is a typical James Bond car, Momoa's Aston Martin DB5 and his Cadillac. Now, the 1963 to 1965 model of the Aston Martin is one of the rarest models owned. It's priced at $176,000, making it one of the most expensive pieces in his collection. As for his 1956 Cadillac Series 62 Coupe de Ville, the best part is that it's pink. I guess we know which car he chose to go and see Barbie in. Sure, this thing comes with a 12-volt electrical system, automatic windshield washer, power steering, window seats, a headlight dimming system, 6-liter OHV, V8 engine, and 4-speed Hydra-matic automatic. None of that matters because it's pink. A large, intimidating person like the guy who was Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones has a light side to his personality after all. If you've seen his interviews in social media, you'd know he's a child trapped inside a 6'4" tall man, and his car collection complements him flawlessly. And so, from owning a car that James Bond drove to cashing out with the biggest franchise in the modern era, this is what Jason Momoa's private car collection looks like.